Only the free mind knows what love is. Jiddu Krishnamurti. What if one of the most radical thinkers of the 20th century, who rejected all organized religion, silently carried the essence of Buddhist wisdom within his teachings? Jiddu Krishnamurti is often known for tearing down traditional belief systems, yet his philosophy seems to hold a key insight that aligns deeply with one of Buddhism's core teachings: pure awareness. In this video, we'll explore the surprising intersection of Krishnamurti's ideas and Buddhist thought, and how one central idea in particular shapes his entire approach to life: the revolutionary thinker who rejected religion. Jiddu Krishnamurti's journey is unlike any other. Born into a traditional Brahmin family in India and groomed to be the next spiritual leader of the Theosophical Society, he shocked the world when he completely renounced the organization in 1929. Krishnamurti rejected religious systems, gurus, and spiritual authority, insisting that truth is a pathless land, accessible to everyone without intermediaries or religious doctrines. Here's where the hook lies. Despite rejecting formal spiritual systems, there's an undeniable parallel between Krishnamurti's philosophy and the teachings of Buddhism, and it's in the way he approached awareness. Both Krishnamurti and Buddhism teach us something profound about the mind and the act of seeing clearly without judgment: the Buddhist concept of mindfulness. Before diving into Krishnamurti's philosophy, let's take a quick look at mindfulness in Buddhism. At the core of Buddhist practice is the idea of mindful awareness, the ability to observe our thoughts, emotions, and experiences without attachment. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from our reactions, from our clinging to or rejecting what is happening in the moment. Mindfulness, or sati, is the practice of being fully present, simply observing what is, without becoming entangled in it. Buddhism emphasizes that the key to freedom lies in this ability to watch the mind without interfering with it. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to see the transient nature of thoughts and emotions, realizing they don't define us. This idea resonates deeply in Krishnamurti's teachings, but the twist is, Krishnamurti never explicitly called it Buddhism. Choiceless awareness, Krishnamurti's core teaching. Here's where Krishnamurti's thought merges with the essence of Buddhism. Krishnamurti spoke often about the concept of choiceless awareness. But what does that mean? According to him, choiceless awareness is the state of simply observing the mind, without labeling, categorizing, or trying to change anything. He taught that to truly understand the nature of thought and ourselves, we must step outside the constant stream of mental activity and just watch. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? The hook here is that Krishnamurti's description of this practice mirrors the Buddhist teaching of mindfulness, or even vipassana, which is insight meditation, the process of simply noticing thoughts and experiences as they arise, without attachment. Both Krishnamurti and Buddhism emphasize the importance of observing the mind without judgment. The difference between Krishnamurti and Buddhist mindfulness. At this point, you might be wondering, if Krishnamurti's ideas sound so much like Buddhism, what makes them different? Here's where the conversation gets interesting. While both Buddhism and Krishnamurti advocate for awareness, Krishnamurti's approach is unique because he goes a step further. He insists that any system, method, or practice for attaining awareness is unnecessary. In contrast, Buddhism offers structured techniques like meditation to develop mindfulness over time. Krishnamurti was highly critical of these methods, arguing that seeking enlightenment through a process creates a psychological separation between the seeker and the sought. He believed that truth is immediate and does not require a path. This distinction is important, but at the heart of both is the same call to fully observe one's mind. The present moment is the teacher. Here's a compelling hook. Imagine being told that all the answers you seek are already in front of you, in this very moment. Krishnamurti emphasized that we don't need to look to external authorities or future goals to discover truth. The mind, in its natural state of attention, can grasp truth directly. He urged his listeners to stop seeking externally and instead develop deep attention to the present moment. This idea echoes Buddhism's emphasis on the present moment as the ultimate teacher. In Buddhism, the four foundations of mindfulness instruct practitioners to observe their body, feelings, thoughts, and mental states as they occur moment by moment. Krishnamurti's teaching, though framed differently, carries the same essential wisdom. All transformation happens now, in the present. The freedom of pure awareness. In Krishnamurti's view, true freedom comes from this pure awareness, the freedom to see the mind without distortion. He often pointed out that conflict arises when the mind seeks to escape the present or clings to specific desires. Similarly, Buddhism teaches that suffering arises when we become attached to or push away experiences, rather than letting them flow. Both teachings speak of freedom from thought, not the absence of thought, but the ability to observe thoughts without being ruled by them. Krishnamurti's choiceless awareness allows us to see reality as it is, free from conditioning, which leads to a mind that is still, alert, and fully alive. Are Krishnamurti and Buddhism saying the same thing? Here's the big question. Did Krishnamurti learn this from Buddhism, or did he arrive at this insight independently? While Krishnamurti often distanced himself from any specific tradition, it's hard to ignore how closely his ideas align with Buddhist teachings on awareness, non-attachment, and the nature of the mind. What's even more interesting is that Krishnamurti rarely acknowledged this influence. He presented his ideas as universal truths. This is where the audience can reflect. Does it matter if the source of wisdom is acknowledged, or is the power of the teaching in its practice? Whether through Buddhism or Krishnamurti, the lesson remains the same. True insight comes when the mind is quiet, attentive, and free from the noise of its own conditioning. Finding the truth within. So what's the one thing Krishnamurti learned from Buddhism? Whether or not he consciously absorbed it, his teaching of choiceless awareness reflects the timeless wisdom of mindfulness. Both paths teach us to observe without judgment, to let go of attachment, and to find freedom in the present moment. While Krishnamurti's rejection of tradition might have set him apart, the heart of his teaching, the call to wake up and see clearly, is deeply connected to the Buddhist path. In the end, it's not about whether Krishnamurti was a Buddhist or not. It's about understanding that true freedom comes from observing life as it is, without filters, without judgment, and without clinging. And in that, he and the Buddha were saying the same thing. What's fascinating about Krishnamurti's journey is that even though he rejected traditional spiritual systems, his most powerful insights lead us back to one of the oldest teachings in the world, the power of awareness. So, how are you observing your own mind? Could this awareness be the key to your own freedom?